What's up, everybody? I'm Steve and welcome to Jerome's Chrome. I've had this 1978 Corvette for a couple weeks now, and I've spent most of that time getting the top layer of crust off of it, figuring out little things like how to get the hood open and how to get the doors open, and just generally looking it over and trying to figure out a plan of where to begin. This week though, it's time to actually turn some wrenches. There are quite a few things that could be causing this engine to run rough, but there is one thing that I know for sure is a major issue, and it's that carburetor. Now, I know a Quadrajet can be a really good carb, and I'm not knocking it, but look at this thing. Look at all of this stuff. I want to keep things as simple as possible on this build, and I don't think this carb is it. So for now, at least to just get it running, I'm gonna be swapping this old tired Quadrajet for this brand new Edelbrock 1406. Because as far as I know, this is as simple as it gets. The carb is simple, but I'm not 100% sure if the installation is going to be, just due to the fact that it has all the whatnot and brackets and everything connected to it. And I'm not 100% sure what parts I'm going to need to make it happen. And I'm not 100% sure how to do it correctly. But I'm just going to dig in and see what happens. So let's start by getting this old carb out of here. I'm really haven't let my brain get past remove carb at this point, but I'm also not ruling out the possibility that as I start cracking into here, I may end up chasing some squirrels, and you know, it might end up being a little bit more than that. Thinking about doing plugs and wires while I'm in here. It does have a miss, and it'd be cool if it just had some fouled plugs, or maybe a wire that, you know, got on one of those headers down there or something. Checking the timing also wouldn't hurt at this point, so maybe I'll do carb swap, plugs and wires, check the timing, see where we're at. But there's also a good chance that I might just swap this carb, fire it up, see how big of a difference that makes just by itself. I guess we'll just see how the weekend goes. So I got all the rubber lines off, and now I'm just taking off this fuel line. Hopefully, I sprayed everything down with PB Blast yesterday before I even attempted this. So it's had plenty of time to soak. Wouldn't that be cool if this was the same size? Oh. Brake booster line, check. Fuel line, check. Hoses, check. Here comes the sketchy part. And it's not sketchy because it's complicated to do. It's sketchy because once I take this apart, I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to go back together. Not sure if the new carb is going to line up with this cruise control servo. I think they make parts where this all, like new brackets to set the throttle cable on to where it matches up with this carb, and parts to where this matches up with the cruise control thing. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. I still got a little bit of research to do on that, but research is for when you're sitting on the toilet. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue pulling stuff apart. Oh. Hope I don't need that again. Oh, I actually found it. Things are going my way. Harbor Freight magnetic tray, of course. All right, cruise control arm disconnected. Pop these springs out of here. I think I'm gonna use this toolkit to pull the carb as a way to say thank you to the guy who gave them to me. All right, I'm gonna start at this bracket down here at the base. Got the bracket off and this whole situation free. Goodbye, Quadrajet. Boom. There's a little bit of build up in there. To be expected. I kind of want to take this off and look in there. And I kind of want to take off the EGR and just cap it. And then there's this thing. So this is the conflict. Do I just stay focused in on just getting the carb on and seeing how it works? Or while I'm in here messing with this intake and vacuum stuff, like take the stuff off the intake, get rid of the vacuum stuff, and just go a little bit deeper. But I'm scared that if I go one layer deeper, I'm gonna go another layer deeper. And then if I go, I might as well change the valve cover gaskets while I'm in here because they're leaking. That water neck is disgusting. I might as well get a new one. I think I have one actually. I might as well put it on there. I have this freaking Holly Contender intake sitting right here that I could use for this project instead of the project it's intended for. But if I do that, then I'm pulling the distributor and getting into another layer. I've decided that I'm doing carb, vacuum, and emissions stuff. I'm not going to take off the valve covers. I'm not going to take off the water neck. I'm not going to take off the intake and replace it today. Gotta stay focused. What I am going to do is take off this EGR, order a block off plate for it. I don't think it was functioning correctly anyway. There it is. Fresh carb. Edelbrock 1406. I do believe it's the most simple carb. It has its drawbacks, but I'm just trying to get this vehicle to run at the moment. I might swap this carb onto another project one day, put something different on this Corvette. I don't know, but for the meantime, I think this is going to be a pretty good choice. Came with a fuel filter, some gaskets, instruction manual. Ooh, stickers. But when swapping a Quadrajet onto a small block Chevy, the carb is not enough. You must also have Q-Jet carburetor adapter kit. It comes with the mounting plate, some gaskets, some fuel line, one of those fuel filters, some studs, and some hardware and hose clamps and things. So that looks like this. Super shiny. This stuff's gonna match that alternator in there perfectly. The next thing I'm gonna do is just clean up this intake a little bit, clean up this gasket mating surface, and just kind of prep this grotesque situation for a shiny new carb. Well, I scrubbed it with some brake clean and some wire brushes and some microfiber towels, and it still just looks so bad that I just threw a coat of Rebuild Black on there. Actually, I threw like 10 coats on there because I didn't really do the best job of cleaning it up, but this is an intake that I'm probably going to replace anyway. Maybe. But for now, at least it looks a little bit better. I don't know how good the paint will hold up due to the fact that, you know, some of it I sprayed directly over the top of layers and layers of grease. But like I said, this isn't a long-term solution. This is just me having fun. And also, for now, at least, I'm going to pop off these valve covers, throw on the chrome ones that I have sitting over there on the shelf. I might just go back with the Mickey Thompsons eventually, but either way, I want to get these kind of cleaned up off the vehicle before I put them back on. So in the interim, I'm just going to throw on some chrome valve covers. Come on. Ooh, that's not a good thing to do. You don't want to do that. Get out of there, Hook. Okay, got it. I don't think I'm looking at anything necessarily bad in here or necessarily good. But if you see something going on in here that I don't see because you have more experience in this situation, let me know. I think it's definitely good enough to throw some valve covers on and a carb and get back to what the whole point was, carb. I just want to see how it's gonna look. Test fit. Right now I'm just setting everything down in here. I'm not gonna bolt anything down. Just setting it in here to kind of give my brain a visual understanding of where that carb is going to sit on this manifold compared to where the other one was, and just kind of look at the cables and whatnot and kind of soak it all up. Just set it on there nice and easy. Get it lined up. Oh, yeah. We got a hot rod now. I don't care what anybody says. A black and chrome engine bay in a C3 Corvette. This is a great day. Well, I guess now that I've spent the good majority of the day, making the engine look better, I should probably go ahead and try to make it run better. It's time to actually start bolting this thing down. All right, finally going on. Step 1, gasket. Then we got the spacer. Snug that down. Boom, and we're good. Next, I got these studs. Now the other gasket. And the carburetor. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get excited. This 1978 Corvette now has a fresh carb sitting on top. And man, it looks good. Hope it makes a difference. Obviously, it's going to make a difference in some capacity. Hope it makes a big difference. Torque, torque, torque. And torque. Check it out. Looking so good compared to that Quadrajet. Man. I mean, the intake is just spray bombed. Some cheap valve covers. One of the cheaper carbs you can get. But what a difference so far. Nice little upgrade for phase 1 get it running mode. Yep. Real nice. It's a few days later, and some progress and some mistakes were made. I did manage to get the brake booster line set up. I got the fuel line set up. I got the vacuum advance, ran to this side of the carb. I just need some more vacuum hose to run the transmission line to the other side. I got the PVC set up and ready to go. And I also have some new old stock PVC from probably the late 80s or early 90s. And I also removed all these old brackets that hold the throttle cable, the transmission kickdown cable, and the cruise control servo cable or rod into place, and just went ahead and removed the cruise control servo while I was at it. The problem is I installed the wrong bracket. This bracket holds the throttle cable in a good position, but it is not holding this transmission kickdown cable in a good position. It's way too far forward. And man, I filled with that forever, trying to figure out what to do or what bracket I needed. It took me forever to figure out I needed that bracket, only to realize that it's the wrong bracket. And now I think I have the correct one. I originally got the Edelbrock 831, which is a universal bracket which holds everything in a nice straight line. But what I think I need is the Edelbrock 830, which allows you to set the throttle cable where it needs to be and then the transmission cable back a little further. So I'm hoping this works. And if it doesn't, I got this Spectre, just in case. One of the 3 brackets should work. The other 2 are definitely going back to the store. So I'm just gonna pull this wrong bracket out of here, and I'll get back with you whenever I'm ready to install the right bracket. This is definitely the one. It allows me to have throttle up here, trans down here, whereas this one, it's all kind of in the same area. This one allows it to be set back with all types of adjustment. Sweet. At least it looks like it's gonna work. In theory and all, should work. We're in. Who knew that the correct bracket would work perfectly? But I got it all set up now. Got the throttle on. Had to get this piece also, and I had to get this piece also. The little nut that the cables connect onto. Sold separately. But it's set up. It's good. It might need a little bit of tweaking, but we are good to move on to setting up the throttle return springs. Got my bracket, got my dual spring set up. I think I'm good. If anything in here is weird, let me know in the comments. If not, I think it's time to get all the vacuum lines hooked up, get the electric choke hooked up. And I think that's it. Let's start with the vacuum lines. First, the brake booster. From, the brake booster to back of the carb. Done. Just grab this vacuum advance, put it over here on this tiny port right here. So we're going from vacuum advance to here. I already have the fuel line ran from here to a filter down to the fuel pump. Actually, there's a hard line coming out of there. I cut that line, put the rubber line on there, and did a clamp. Got to run the PCV line here. And I guess I'll run that over the top of that spring into there. Not sure if I should go over the top or under right now, but first I need to get a grommet in the valve cover. Good. In. Let's do this. Perfect. In. Wait, that might get hot. That's not a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. Let's do this. Boop. How's this, guys? Does this matter if this PCV is this close to this hose? Should I cut it shorter and run it underneath? What do you think? The last vacuum line is on. Now, just moving on to running the wires. The negative is super simple. Just running this wire right underneath this screw on the carburetor. Slide that through there. Snug. Now I just got to run this red wire to a 12-volt ignition on. I'm 99.99% sure this yellow wire going into the wiper motor is the wire I'm looking for. So I'm just going to T-tap into that one, and we will be ready to go. 99.9% sure would not have been good enough. I went ahead and double checked and did a little probing around, and that yellow wire did not have any power to it. Nothing in the entire windshield wire harness plug had any power. And I went around just probing stuff, turning the key on, turning the key off, trying to find a key on power, and finally just ran a dedicated wire from the choke down into a hole in the firewall and hooked it into the fuse box. I just got the wire kind of loose and dangly at the moment in order to just, get this thing fired up as quick as possible, and then I'll just tuck that away a little bit later. I think it's installed. All right. It's the next day again, but today's the day to actually fire this thing up. I did spend some time last night tying up a few loose ends, like cleaning up a lot of these vacuum lines and capping everything that I could possibly find. Threw in some new valve cover gaskets, put on a cap for the EGR and a breather. Made sure that the air fuel screws were turned all the way in and then turned out 2 full turns. And that's finally it. It's time to start the car. I'm just going to throw a little bit of fuel in the carb, fire it up, see what happens, let it idle for a little bit, see what happens, maybe play with the timing from there, see what happens, and then see if I need to do any tweaking on the carb after that. If we get that far. Still might have a misfire, I don't know, rod knock, piston slap, jacked up ring, some sort of bearing issue, blah, 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 blah. But there's only one way to find out. Start the car. Just got to give it a little shot of fuel. Get it? It's a syringe. Okay, that's just a little. Okay. I'm not nervous, you're nervous. Here we go. Man, that didn't go well. Maybe it's the battery and not the starter. My jumper box is a stupid, worthless piece of crap, junk, worthless, just trash jumper box. So now I gotta wait around for it to charge. Still only 80% charged. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. It's very, very loud, but it's running, and it's running way better. It's got a little bit of an exhaust leak. There we go. I obviously have a few things to dial in, but that was honestly a pretty big improvement right there. I gotta think about what just happened there. Kind of get back to you. Morning. It's the next day, Thanksgiving Day. I got like 10 minutes I can mess with this car today. And all I want to do today is just see if I've accomplished the one goal of being able to start this car and back it in and out of the garage without it dying 15 times in the process. I think this car's running good right now. And the issue that makes it sound like crap is just the exhaust. There's a huge manifold leak. Huge. And then this. It sounds a whole lot worse on video than it actually does in real life. It's actually, besides the exhaust being horrible, that's a really, really big improvement that just happened. Perfect? No, not at all perfect, but leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds better. Just started it, 30 degrees outside. Backed it out, sat there, idled high, gave it a little throttle, idled down, and right now, it's purring like a kitten. No massive amounts of black smoke bellowing out the sides. Man, it sounds pretty decent right now. I'm actually surprised. To win. It's gonna be a good Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's now over. The week is pretty much now over, and this video is going out tomorrow. So it's time to wrap things up, pull in the Corvette for the night. Last time I tried to pull this car into the garage, it died about 6 times. So let's see if what we did over the last week made a difference. Stop! Don't hit the Corvette! Stop! Well, we still have work to do, but progress was definitely made this week. It's not perfect by any means, but the car went from barely being able to start, barely being able to idle, and dying every time I gave it gas, to firing up easy and moving around the yard with no problems at all. And I've listened to it in person, and I've listened to it in real life, and I'm telling you, that exhaust leaking from the manifold and leaking from the side pipes makes it sound way worse on video than it really does in real life. The additions of the new carb, cleaning up the vacuum lines, and making some rough adjustments to the timing made a huge difference, but there's still a lot of work to be done on this engine. Next time I dig it in this engine bay, I'm going to be doing a compression test, replacing the plugs and wires, checking the timing with an actual timing light, checking fuel pressure, and just continuing to keep dialing things in bit by bit. I learned quite a bit from this project, and I learned quite a bit from you in the comments from the last video, so I seriously appreciate that. I really do appreciate your feedback about what I'm doing in the comments, because I still have a lot to learn, but I feel like together, I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get this car back on the road again. Thank you to everyone who watched the video, who subscribed, and who has become a part of this community. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be up to next week, but I hope to see you then.